Good morning from the second age of reason. I've been meaning to talk about the Deficit Commission. However, other current events have been distracting, have been taking my attention away from that for the time being, and so I wish to discuss some things. One thing in particular is something called a wiki. I think wiki comes from a word that means fast or speedy. And there's this thing called the Wikipedia. And it's sort of an online encyclopedia put together by lots of volunteers from many countries for a long time now. A lot of educational authorities will tell you not to rely too heavily on the Wikipedia because of its volunteer donor nature. It's not like the accepted band of scholars who vet the articles for like your Funkenwagnalls or your Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, that though is a little bit doubtful, because every time I've looked at Wikipedia, I've always found its information to be more current and extremely accurate in many regards. So I think it's gotten sort of a bad rap, muchly underestimated. It's just that, you know, the old powers that be like selling you rows and rows of books that look scholarly on your shelf, as if you'd taken the time to read them. Well, have you ever read the encyclopedia? Have you ever gone through every single volume? I did. And you know, after a time, when those volumes get to be 10, 20, 40, 70 years old, it's less about the information they provide and more about the nostalgia you get from looking at, you know, the pictures of the old days and reading people's thought patterns back in the days when they were not so enlightened. So, in fulfilling the purpose of a true encyclopedia, of a true oracle of knowledge that is up to date and immediate, and the sources of information are subject matter experts that are on site, that are using these things that are relevant. So I very highly respect it. Along another wiki line is something called WikiLeaks, currently under attack from, it's not entirely known, currently under attack that they are a whistleblower site spreading information. Some would like you to believe they are a terrorist site. Well, terrorism is violence, is a threat of violence. And I don't see a threat of violence with WikiLeaks. It's a threat of knowledge. And of course, people that would view knowledge as a threat, you have to wonder what their true intentions are. So, be that as it may, once they get that label attached to them, they have trouble performing financial transactions. They have trouble gaining access to information, to connectivity, to communications. In essence, they are being attacked in the very essence of their enterprise, in the very essence of their, what would you call it, the whole product of what they produce, information. And their founder is mysteriously missing. Well, it's no surprise, because of course authorities want to get their hands on him one way or another, because they view him as the source of it all, the cause of it all, and they think that if they get a hold of him, the problem will just go away. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Then there's the problem with the DNS and taking his site offline for a while but now they're in the Swiss domain .ch for the time being, and nobody's saying where the attacks are coming from. Well, I can tell you that network providers have those informations in the log files on their. And then there's the matter of his indiscretions. When you're trying to lead the effort in being a source of useful information, having indiscretions does not enhance your position, unfortunately. However, those accusations may have come from other motives. Those bringing the accusations may be doing so because they are afraid for their own safety. They know he's a hunted man, and so they're seeking the protection of the law and government to show that, well, we're not with him. That might be one thing. Another might be that the governments are using them as a means of gaining custody of him to bring him to so-called justice so that the problem will just go away. And I'm sure they already have a kangaroo court, appropriate for an Australian, ready to go. So we all know what will happen if he is apprehended. Then there's the matter of these attacks on the website, and so the website has shut down for a while, and now they've moved into the Swiss domain, and hopefully it will be there for a while. In the meantime, the attacks were coming through, and did they ever mention where they found the source of the attacks? I can assure you that they know full well where the source of the attacks is, because everyone comes with an IP address, and those can be traced by the providers. But I don't think they're going to be talking much because of who those attackers were. Okay, another thing to be aware of is that his next source of a leak is going to be banking and financial institutions. Now, we all know what happened when President Kennedy brought up his Executive Order 1110, and this might be a similar thing. The government may be fuddling and muddling around trying to get him and all, but I think the banks may have more to do with some of this too, because they want to make sure that their information is protected. I suppose that's the way it works in business, and so we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Here's somebody who's trying to bring information to all of us. As taxpayers, we pay taxes so our governments can do things. And I think as taxpayers, we are entitled, we have a right to know how our money is spent, and this is part of that. And if this effort is shut down, I see it as a threat to information and openness and transparency. I would call it the Great Endarkenment. There's enlightenment, this is endarkenment. And you know, it's amazing how many people believe in the endarkenment. It's coming to us. It's coming not only to America, but to the world, the endarkenment. And finally, the source of these informations is supposedly somebody who's in the brig right now, Bradley Manning, and he has his claim that he used a music CD, that he erased the music off of it and then put this information on it and just walked out. Well, to me, it does not sound technically feasible, and maybe he knows that already. And when it comes out in court, it'll become like, no, this is not possible. So, you know, when you burn a music CD, you usually can't erase it and then write over it again. It's write once, read many. So once it's been written to, it's not writable again. And even if for some way you had to leave part of the disc open, the amount of space left on it after you filled it with music is limited. That if you think you can include 250,000 documents on something of that size, well, You know, the USB thumb drive is much more believable than a music CD. But if he's going to use the music CD, then he can prove that couldn't have. It's impossible. It's not going to work. It's not technically viable. And we'll be seeing you.